There are losses that arrive once, sharp, sudden, final. And then there are losses that arrive every morning. This was the second kind. Margaret had been married for 60 years. 6 decades of shared routines, unspoken understanding, and a life so intertwined that neither of them remembered who they were before the other. They met young, grew old together, built a home that held their habits like muscle memory. His chair by the window, her mug by the sink, 2 toothbrushes leaning toward each other in the cup. When Harold died, the house didn't change. That was the cruel part. The clock still ticked the same way. The kettle still whistled at the same pitch. Sunlight still reached the kitchen floor at the same hour. But Margaret changed, not all at once. Her short-term memory had been slipping for years, small things at first. Misplaced keys, repeated stories, forgotten appointments. After Harold's death, it became something else entirely. Every morning, Margaret woke up believing it was just another day. She swung her legs out of bed and reached instinctively for the other side. The sheets were cold. She frowned only briefly before standing. In the kitchen, she moved with confidence. Her hands knew what to do even when her mind didn't. She filled the kettle, set out 2 mugs, took eggs from the fridge. 2 plates. Always 2. She hummed while she cooked, a tune she'd been humming since before the kids were grown. Since before the house felt too big, she carried 1 plate into the study. The chair was empty. At first, she wasn't alarmed. She checked the living room, the bathroom, the front porch. She called his name, casual and unafraid, then puzzled, then softer. She returned to the kitchen and stared at the untouched plate. That was usually when she called one of her children. They learned to recognize the number on their screens. They learned to brace themselves. Every phone call was the same, and never the same. They would tell her gently. They would remind her slowly. They would hear the moment when understanding landed, when her world cracked open again. Margaret cried like it had just happened. Every time, the grief was always fresh. Untouched by yesterday's tears, she cried for the man she married, the man she raised children with, the man she had slept beside for most of her life. She cried because no one should have to learn this over and over. By afternoon, exhaustion replaced despair. She would sit in his chair holding his sweater, run her fingers along the arms of the couch where he used to sit. By evening, she was quiet. Sometimes she forgot why she felt so heavy. Sometimes she remembered. Then morning came, and the cycle began again. Her children tried everything. They labeled cabinets, left notes, removed reminders, reintroduced them, stayed longer, spoke softer. They took turns visiting, sitting with her through breakfast. Sometimes she asked, "Where is he?" Sometimes she didn't. On good days, she remembered for hours at a time. On bad days, she forgot within minutes. The house became a place of constant heartbreak, not loud, not dramatic, just endlessly heavy. There was no closure, no chance for grief to heal, no after, only repetition, only waiting. Sometimes Margaret stood in the doorway of the study and smiled faintly. She would say, "He used to sit right there." Sometimes she would laugh. Sometimes she would cry. Sometimes she would ask if he was coming home soon. Her children learned that correcting her wasn't always kind, so they learned to redirect, to sit with her instead of against the truth, to mourn quietly, to love patiently, to grieve someone who is still alive and someone who is gone. Love didn't disappear when memory failed. It lingered in habits, in instincts, in the way she reached for 2 mugs instead of 1, in the way she listened for footsteps that would never come. There are losses that end, and then there are losses that loop. Margaret's grief never had time to scar over. It stayed open every morning. If this story touched you in any way, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Every single animation you see on this channel is inspired by a real-life moment. Real feelings, real lessons, real people. These aren't just cartoons. They're pieces of someone's life, brought to the screen to share a unique experience. If you want to see more true stories come to life through the magic of animation, then you're in the right place. Stick with us, because your support is what helps us continue to share these important voices voices that truly deserve to be heard. We're so grateful to have you here on this journey with us. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.